Assalamualaikum and good evening to Ms. Zulaika. My name is Amnafiq bin Abdul Aziz. Together with my team, namely Muhammad Hafizan, Muhammad Syahrul, Ahmad Bahaki, Rezwan and Muhammad Hasfizan. This is our presentation for the subject of PAD 240, Government and Politics, and our topic is the demerits of multi-party system in Malaysia. As an introduction, let us go through the definition of political party. A political party basically is a group of people. These people come together to contest elections to hold power in the government. It is a way to assemble the voters to support common sets of interests, concerns, and goals. The primary role of the political party is to fix the political agenda and policies. So each party tries to persuade people by claiming their policies are better than those of other parties. In a broader perspective, a political party is a means via which the people can speak to the government and have a say in the governance of any country. So every political party must have three key components. There is leaders, active members, and followers. Now, my friend Hafizan will continue.
Multi-party system. There are three parties that have the capacity to gain control of the government separately or in a coalition. In case no party achieve a clear majority of the legislative seats, then several parties join forces and form a coalition government. Some people are of the view that a multi-party system often leads to political instability in a country. A multi-party system is a system in which multiple political parties across to the political spectrum run for the national election and all have the capacity to gain control of government office, separately or in the coalition. Multi-party system tend to be more common in parliamentary system than presidential system, and far more common in countries that are used of proportional representation compared to countries that use the first post and the post-election. A multi-party system is also a system where multiple political parties take part in national elections. A lot of countries that use this system have a coalition government, meaning parties are in control and they are all work together to make laws. As such, there is no limit to the number of parties that can take part in a British election, but the government must command a majority in the House of Commons, and it is usually from one party. More commonly, in cases where there are three or more parties, no one party is likely to gain power alone, and parties must work with each other to form a coalition governments. Function of political parties. They bring people together to achieve control of the government, develop policies favorable to their interests or the groups that support them, and organize and persuade voters to elect their candidates to office. The basic purpose of political parties is to nominate candidates for public office and to get as many of them elected as possible. Once elected, these officials try to achieve the goals of their party through legislation and program initiatives. Every political party has several functions to perform. Political party contest election by putting up candidates. Every party has different policies and programmers. Voters make a choice in accordance with the policies and programmers liked by them. In a democratic country, a large group of people that have certain similar opinions group together and form a party. They then give a direction to the policies adopted by the government. Those parties which lose election from the opposition, they voice different views and criticize the government for its failures and mobilize opposition to the government. Political parties shape public opinion with the help of the pressure groups. The parties launch movement for solving problems faced by the people. Malay party system in Malaysia. This is an example of the parties which control the government and as an opposition. The parties like PKR, Parti Amanah, now is opposition parties, and the parties which run the government is PPBM, PAS, and UMNO. So I pass to my colleague, Shah, to continue.
Demerit of multi-party system. No one party is sufficiently representative of the nation as a whole to form a government. The problematic emerges when certain demand of any party goes outside the boundary and may offset the sentiment of the other party. Example 1. The real occurred in May 1969 indicates that unsatisfied feeling among the Malay exists when the Chinese control almost all the economic sector. This happened when UMNO itself was preoccupied with taking care of the feeling of MCA until Malay themselves seem to be neglected. Example 2, the current situation that happened when Pakatan Harapan formed the government, many policies and action undertaken by the government were a little bit hurting the Malay field. During the regimes of the Pakatan Harapan is not an exaggeration to say that DAP was a backbone and was a robust influence in running this country. Next is Amnan.
Thank you, Shah. Example 4. Example 3. No one party is sufficiently representative of the nation as a whole to form a government. It is time consuming and involves too many processes. Prior to the election, many insights and demands from respective parties must be scrutinized rigorously. When some objective cannot be achieved comprehensively, they need to rely on other solutions, and the process of redoing something will take a long journey. Example 4. People are confused about which party shall form the government because ministry is formed later on by the combination of various groups. Another precedent situation when Dr. Mahathir Mohamad as the Prime Minister appointed Lim Guang Eng to lead a Ministry of Finance. Next, my friend will continue.
Next, I will explain the combination of heterogeneous political elements may weaken the coalition governments. For example, every political party has a verified to different view. Unfortunately, what we listening today is a very disappointing. Why? Because PN and UMNO are still taking the old way by vying to get a two-third majority in the parliament. Next, for the example 2, there are also political parties that only focus on the purpose of prime minister to win election. Another example for the combination of heterogeneous political is post-election 2018 in Perak crisis show disunity among the Malays more apparent. It led to a rebellion among Malays political leaders themselves. The Perak crisis is a dispute over the legality of the government formed by Pakatan Rakyat in the state of the Perak. The crisis began when three Perak state or legislative assembly from PR jumped the party and declared themselves in support of Barisan Nasional. This situation gives success to Barisan Nasional and convinced the Sultan of Perak to dissolve the government formed by Pakatan Harapan and replace it by Barisan Nasional. Next, I will be continue. For example, after 2008, different conflict for each political party still occur in each political party. The crisis in PKR occurs when there were groups and supported Anwar Ibrahim, party president, and Azmin Ali as a deputy president. This crisis has caused one by one the main leader of PKR to leave the party. Another example is in past, there are a selection between scholar and professional. The historical of past before this show that the ulama control the party leadership. But now, no scholar and professional have lead key position such as party deputy president. In some case, there are different view between the two groups that leads to a crisis in the party. For example, in the case of Datuk Hassan Ali across some past leader of became present in the party. Next, I will be continue to Ridwan for the next slide.
Okay, number 3, it may lead to the establishment of a weak and unstable government. The countries with high poverty index and weak human resource management include aspects of health, education, and high illiteracy rates. This is a result of a government decision of weak political stability. Political stability and economic development are interrelated elements in the information of the economic and social development of a country. The government plays an important role in the question of political stability, specifically in the matter of internal and external challenges. Aspects such as stable government, stable political system, functioning legal system, and stability of external environment are still the main challenge of some countries, especially developing countries. The government needs political stability with the challenges of internal and external problems because stable politics drive economic development in terms of gross domestic product, which is the main indicator of the economic development of a country. Example 1, in 2018, Pakatan Harapan PH political cooperation comprised of Parti Pribumi Bersatu Malaysia, PKR, DAP, and Parti Amanah Negara, and support by Parti Warisan in Sabah, won the 14th election. However, political cooperation in PH involved a variety of unsustainable background that occurred during the political crisis until there was a change at the federal and part state level. Finally, the Perikatan Nasional PN took over the reins of government without election. The transfer of power as a result of a cooperation between several parties involved Bersatu, PAS, and 2 local political parties in Sabah. Parti Solidarity Tanah Airku, STAR, and Parti Maju Sabah, SAPP. Example 2, in February 2021, UMNO decided to end its cooperation with Bersatu in the 15th general election. The decision directly impacts Bersatu, PAS, and UMNO itself. As a party that does not have a majority position, political cooperation is desperately needed by all parties. Newly formed political coalition need to take into account many things before any cooperation can be done. Among the main effect before the election was the division of seats. Fourth, the life of the government is uncertain and short, cause difficulties to obtain the objectives of policies. This could be due to changing of political parties among leaders or any other uncertain matters.
Okay, so I shall continue. Right. Thank you, Bang Rizwan, for the presentation just now. So I continue with this slide now. All right. So the merits of a multi-party system. Okay, number 4, the life of the government is uncertain and short, cause difficulty to obtain the objective of policies. All right. So this could be due to changing of, this could happen due to changing of political party among leaders or any other uncertain matters. In many cases, no party is able to gain power alone. Right, to gain majority 2/3 is not easy for one party. So therefore, it leads to difficulty to form in the formation of the government, because in order to form a government, we need 2/3 at least to form a government. So the unhealthy rivalry, frequent political realignment and coalition make the government of a country weak and unstable. Okay, so it can also damage the name of the government internationally and decrease the prestige of the country. Some parties might have to come together before a government can be formed, and this coalition government can be weak and unstable. Okay, so like we see in our government now, the current our current government is very weak because they don't have major government majority. So yeah, that's why maybe one of the reason our prime minister do the emergency, because he don't have the major dominance in the government. Right. So for example, number 1, since the PH broke UMNO's dominance for more than 50 years, they create more open and liberal policy in order to reach their objective to create a new Malaysia. So as we remember, before this, when the PH government won, there are more liberal government. Right, so all their policy, they are different compared to UMNO. So all their policy objective fail. No, all their policy that they do don't reach their objective. After this, they have a internal problem, because the disagreement between the party leaders, mostly between Mahathir and Anwar. Okay, due to the power transfer of the power. So we can see all their objective of policy have failed just because they can reach an agreement, and the government collapsed before not even 2 years of governing, right? So it's a very short-term government. It's a failed government, total failed government. So after the fall of the PH government, the newly formed government create all new policy with a new new objective. As we can see now, when PN took over the power, the Perikatan Nation took over power, they create a new policy, with a new objective. Okay, next slide. Okay, so the conclusion, okay, the multi-party system applied in the nation's government is instrumental in ensuring that the country remain free from the exploitation of certain quarters. Right, so because this one, the reason why the country have the multi-party system, because we don't want one party to dominate the government. Like let's say, like previously UMNO, they have more than 2/3, so the opposition is become very weak. So they don't want this thing to happen. So that's why we have multi party system. So this political stability has further protected Malaysia from rebellious and seditious influence such as riots and violence. To realize national integration and the formation of nation state, the government learned from the historical politic and enacted some policies to overcome the split races. Right, so like in Malaysia, we are not all the party country, but also a multiracial country. So that's why government enact some policies to overcome split race, to avoid riot like 13 May. Right, and then hence policies like the Rukun Negara were introduced to the whole country, so that its principle can be appreciated by every citizen regardless of race. So here, this slide you can see also we have the current Malaysian Cabinet. But I don't think this one is the latest one because now the Ismail Sabri is our deputy prime minister, and Hishamuddin also now become. I also don't know what the new position. So this is the current Malaysian cabinet. So I think that's all for me now. So yeah, that's all from us. So I think that's it. Thank you.